so that I realized, I mean, because I already realized like the dynamic with my parents and how they always chose their partners over me, over us, or like even my mom. She doesn't mean to, but because like my brother has his struggles that show up more physically, I guess. I don't know. For some reason, it's just like she picks. It just feels like that, and I'm sure to my brother, it feels like she picks me over him. So like it just I had a realization about that last week. I was like, that's crazy. Like, you could, even as a parent, like, you're doing the best you can, and like, you're also alongside your kids learning and breaking the cycle. So, like, my mom has actually come a long way. Like, me and her used to be like, seriously, like, we would be like siblings back when I was like 13 or whatever and stuff. Like, we would argue and fight like siblings or whatever. Like, we wouldn't listen to each other, she wouldn't listen to me, like, because we were growing up together. Like, she had me when she was young, like 21, my brother when she was like 19. So like, she was young mom, but so she did what the best she could, even though that I can also say that but also be like hurt and upset by the pain that was caused. Like, now we have all this, like, the internet and like information, and of course there's misinformation too, about like mental illnesses, autism, stuff like that, and disorders or whatever. And so like back then our parents didn't, so it's like we can be mad and upset that they didn't, it didn't feel like they didn't try, but at the same time I understand they did the best they could with what they had. But now I'm like, okay, but now there's no excuse. You have the internet, you could look it up, like, there's ways. So yeah, anyways, I kind of have a thing, like, I think that my mom might be a little autistic. I'm not sure. I mean, we always both were like, we're highly sensitive people, and like, honestly, that can still coexist with autism. So that's why it took me a while to really be like, oh, I am autistic, because also the stigma with that is like, autistic boy, like, how they have like just a stereotype of it. And it's like, it looks so different. Like, you have one symptom in one person, it'll look totally different in another person. So, like, yeah. And I always forget that I have agoraphobia too. So that's, like, why I stay home a lot. And I stay away from places that don't feel, like, I do have my safe zones or places out in and about, but in a safe person. And like, on the way back the other day, or was it this time? No, it was the other day. On the way back home, I was like, kind of trying not to demonize myself, to be like, well, I need some, like, it's easier for me to travel out and about or whatever if I have my safe person. My best friend is one of my safe persons. I think my twin would be too, but like, I don't know how that would be. Like, I still kind of, I realized today when I woke up, I have a little bit of anger about stuff. Even though he was operating from his childhood wounds or whatever. I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, I was like, okay, well, I need a safe person. And like, how the world's like, hyper independence, blah, blah, blah. Don't be codependent. It's like, okay, well, don't go to the opposite end. The codependent, yeah. As long as you're regulating yourself, it's okay to need co-regulation. As long as you're not being codependent. And I don't know how to explain that other than it's just a balance between, like, you're not putting too much pressure on the other person, but you're taking your own account load or whatever, like, emotional. You're trying to regulate yourself, and you're good at that. Like, if it's okay to need help and need an extra body that feels safe to help you co-regulate. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm still kind of learning. but that's like what I was told. It's like, no, co-regulation is perfectly fine. Like, don't demonize yourself for that, needing that. It's nothing's wrong with that. Like, I never really had co-regulation, so yeah, co-regulation for anybody is fine as long as you're not. It's not an unhealthy dynamic, you know. It's like you're balancing each other, you're pouring into each other. Ugh. I try not to get upset at myself for talking too much because, like, these are always so long, and I'm like, see, that's why people don't listen to you. No, but I also never really felt listened to, or like the times that people would listen to me, it was like to use it against me. So, like, with that, I'm gonna talk about the inner child stuff. I don't know, after I woke up like that today, I was like, I just didn't say anything. I let my inner child talk, and then they were saying, this is why I had problems with people. Like, people would have me in secret competition with others, and it was usually men. They would have me in secret competition with other women, and I'd be like, why the fuck are these women hating me? And, like, so I started getting, just, like, listening. And the other me was like, I'm here for you. And I was hearing, my inner child was like, well, how do I know that? Because other people said that and they're not here. Or they weren't truly here. They checked out emotionally, or they checked out other ways. And how do I know I can trust you because other people said that and I couldn't trust them? How do I know you're not going to put others before? You know, like, I was always chose last, too, like, with my dynamic. So that's why I was like, how can I trust a polyamory dynamic at all? Because, like, I got triggered by somebody recently because I'm like, I can clearly see that you do prefer this other person over me, and probably also because I'm more independent in a way, because some people are used to them dealing with codependent people. I don't know, it doesn't matter, but like, I'm just like, I don't know. And then I'm just like, all people want to do is watch me have a disaster, like, or they want to come in and pretend like they want to, whatever. Love has always been a game. They've always put me in their pawn, as a pawn, and they just, that's what my inner child was like, saying all this stuff, like, I don't want to play it anymore, and I'm tired, and I just don't understand, I just wanted to be loved, you know, basically. And like, so then I started listening to that song over and over, and I'm like crying and like singing it aloud, and I'm like, shouldn't have to have been the bigger person. I shouldn't have had to be up to me. And I was always the problem, and it was really not that. And I was trying to fix it. And not saying I didn't make mistakes. It's just, more times than not, people were just like, I'm gonna fuck your life up for no damn reason. And it's like, other than they're mad that I'm associating with this person or whatever, and I'm like, or like, I'm with this guy, and no, I'm not talking about my twin, that's totally different. Like, in a sense it is, because then his cousin's wife, I have a feeling there wasn't full truth talked about there, and I'm just like, I'm pissed off about that. You got mad at me. I mean, you didn't get mad, but like, whenever he was telling me about it, he's like, I can read your mind, because I wanted to do some, like, I was getting mad, I wanted to, like, do some snooping too, and whatever, and, like, she had been watching me, like, it's like, you told me to can it, basically, you told me to stand down, but I had to be the bigger person, but you're out here, pitting women against each other. I'm not hating. I'm not mad. Like, okay. Underneath it all, I unconditionally love him, but that was fucked up. And that's why people will be like, they're toxic. They can be toxic. But it's like, no, we bring out we trigger each other into healing. Now, the toxicity is triggering each other into more damage. That's what twins aren't. I'm sure they could be. That's why their separation is needed, and learning how to detach.